Welcome back to making of Jedi Knight chart mobile application, and today I planned to make this block with the selected chart type, but instead I decided to start an iOS project. And create a basic, since iOS doesn't have UI yet, then I'll make it with the default UI. I won't modify anything UI related in iOS, so it will look just as default application, iOS default application. And in the future I'll add the UI similar to Android UI when it's done. So need to add iOS project. I have to remind that I'm using MvvM pattern with the help of MvvmCross package. And with the MvvM pattern I have some so-called business logic in vModel, and vModel is contained in the core project. And since I already coded vModel for Android, so when I start another project for another platform, in today's case it's iOS, then it's gonna be much easier because I don't need to write logic code. I only have to write UI code. And as I told, I use MvvM pattern, architectural patterns, and in our case MvvM means model view model, and model is JK client and it provides some models. View models is JKChat core project, and view is JKChat Android project. And then I'll create iOS project, and it also be a view project in MvvM pattern case. And as I told, view model and model already exist, and they have some logic. And Android view is applied to that logic, and I'll create iOS project and apply iOS UI to that core project. And MvvmCross will give us some easy to use bindings, and all I'll do in iOS project is create UI and bind some view part to view model, and it will work out of the box. So let's let's add a new project. Let's name it JKChat iOS. It's gonna be blank application. It will target the latest iOS version. Oh, minimum will be, let's say, 10. Or maybe I should target 13. Not sure, because I'll probably need to use background tasks. It's a new feature in iOS 13. So when you minimize your application, you still have some time to execute some code on background. And not sure how it actually works on iOS. I haven't done it before. iOS used to not provide any backgrounding tasks, so I'll try this for the first time. But for now, let's go with the minimum 10 version. It's easy to change anytime. Device is universal, so it will work on both iPhone and iPad. Let's create. Yeah, we got another project. It has to, since I'm using MvvmCross, I'll have to add that as a NuGet package. Okay, let's see, installed. Oh, they already have. Alright. It says it's installed on Android project and core project, and it's not installed on iOS project. So let's install the same version. And also let's install plugin project for iOS as I installed for Android. So they seems to be installed to iOS project. Okay. As we created in Android, we created views that we bound to view models in the future. Base, chat, main, server list. So we'll do the same in iOS project. Let's add new folder, views. Let's create base view, folder base, base view model, base fragment. So in base view model, let's close all the files. Close all tabs. Base view model, base fragment. Base view model has title and is loading properties. So we'll have to create base view controller in iOS. On Android, I use fragments navigation, so every page is fragment. On iOS, I'll use view controllers navigation. There's actually no other navigation. So I'll add a new item. It's gonna be UI view controller. Let's call it base view controller, add, I don't need to register of anything. Universal view, what's that? How is that used? Oh, okay, it's just a template. Don't need to register anything. It's gonna inherit from MVX view controller. And it will be dependent on base view model. Oh, and we need to reference JKChat iOS. We need to add JKChat core project as a reference. So I made in JKChat core to JKChat iOS. Yeah, and now base view model is visible in this project because it's defined in JKChat project. So we created, it has to be abstract class, so we always have to inherit and implement. It has to, we don't need this, we don't need this. We need to create title binding and is loading binding. I think I actually don't remember. Let me look in a reference project. In my experience, I have never created an iOS project from scratch, so I always completed already. I always worked on already created project, even if it was just started. I always worked with already created iOS project by someone. So comparing to Android, I created Android from scratch. So I'll probably look at some references. Title. Setup loading. Viewed it load. Load view. Oh, it's overridden. View will appear. Keyboard handling. Okay. It has. It actually has to be TV model. So when we'll inherit from this class, we'll have to pass a template parameter, as I did the same here. So pass TV model, and I'll have to create a rule that TV model as template must be class, must be MvvmXview model and must be iBase view model. Same. So, what else? We'll have to create binding for loading and for title. Initialize controls. Initialize controls. Okay. View load. Oh, I mean, no. View loaded. Load view. So after loading view, we will place controls, stop loading. I don't need extra functions when I can do directly inside this method. So I just set up loading. Oh, title is already existing property, so I have to just override this title. And we have to bind title actually. Bind controls, view did load, and we have to bind controls after view did load. So when we load view, we set up our view. When we did load, then we bind everything. Okay. View did load. So load view, set up loading. We have to create a loading indicator. Loading view. Frame. with background, with some use. Yeah, I'll have to create activity indicator. It will be a rotating thing in the center of the screen. Okay. No, it's gonna be in load view. I'll create indicator view. Activity. With the style large. We won't set any color, any similar stuff. It will take the whole screen, and to get the whole screen sizes, I'll have to create some helper properties so that loading indicator will take the indicator will rotate in the center of the screen, but it will also have a background that covers the whole page. So while content is loading, then it's not clickable. Nothing is clickable behind the loading. So I have to cover a view above the whole screen, and to add that view to whole screen I have to get sizes of the page, width and height, and for this I could use some direct methods that iOS SDK provides, but I'll use those methods often in the future. So, and they're not pretty to use and easy to use. So I'll make a helper class. Let's create a folder helpers. Add new item, new class. Screen size. How would they use this? Device info. Okay, let's go with the same name and device info. It's gonna be static class. That means that it will be just one instance across the whole application, and we'll create some properties like and float is is iOS float. Actually the same, but for some compatibility it has some one extra data type. Screen width, it will be UI device. Oh no, UI screen, I think. UI screen. Main screen. Bounce. Just bounce. Yeah, I guess bounce. And width. So let's check if I did it right. Help us. No. Services. Device. No. Your extensions. Yeah, device info. Yeah, I'm doing it right. Okay, let's copy. Screen width, screen height. Okay, and let's use this helper class. So we created this view and not sure if we need to set some properties. Loading, enable. Okay, let's get back and see some hints. As I told, I have never created this project from scratch, so I'm kind of learning. Loading. Oh, okay. They just bind to visibility. Okay, never mind. So we only said we created that view. Now we need to create a background view where we place our indicator, and that background view will be placed above the whole page. Okay, so loading view, new UI view. UI view is just a basic view that could be added to screen with the frame new C3 rect. XY with height. It's gonna be XY width, gonna be device info screen width twice info string height. And they subtract if it's hidden. It's 64. Okay, I guess I'll do the same. So this means if we have navigation controller, this top side, and it exists and it's not transparent, then we'll subtract size of this height, and then we will add our view to this, so it won't cover the navigation bar, something like this. So we'll subtract this from height. And the navigation controller is the property of view controller. What? Need extra. What don't you like? Oh. Yeah, seems fine. Let's just move it to bar height. Yeah, that's a bit cleaner. Okay, now we need to add loading indicator to the center of loading view, and we'll use constraints. Currently I am making layout on code because it's an abstract view controller, and we're not creating a view using any tool for making UI. We're creating something that will be inherited and reused, and we'll have to create views as abstract view. It will be used everywhere. But future pages will use, when we'll create future pages, we'll use Xcode interface builder. So adding loading view to the center of indicator view. We'll have to create two constraints. Loading indicator view constraint center X view. Oh, I think I did it differently and simpler. I think I used anchors. So loading view anchor center. constraint to. And that constraint will be equal, so that means that rule of binding center position of this view will be equal to loading view. What it receives? Another similar. So loading view center will be equal to this center with so this loading view will be placed in the center of this view, X and X, center X, with the constant 0, 0, so it means it won't have any offset. If I set something like I don't know, 100, then everything will be offset by everything will be offset horizontally, something like this. And if I put it with the 0 offset, then it will be put in the center, just directly in the center without offsetting. And enable active true. That means we enable this rule. And the same goes for y. Y equals to y with no offset, and it's enabled. And then we'll have to add the view actually as a subview. This view will be a subview of loading view. No, loading view. It's a view like this, right? And let's get back to the main reference project. There are different ways to add constraints. You can create constraints as objects, as two different variables, so you could use anchors. Oh yeah, and have to translate or to resize and mask into constraints. I have to enable this. Oh, I mean disable. So constraints will be applied. If I don't set it to false, then those rules are not applied. So and once we added our indicator to loading view, now we need to add loading view to our view of this view controller. So it has view property, add subview, loading view. So we created indicator, put it into center, put it to the center, add it to loading view. Loading view has a frame that is put to 0, 0 coordinates with the size of screen width and the screen height. So loading view will be added to main view of this view controller, so basically a page, and it will cover the whole page containing only one subview loading view indicator, and loading view indicator added to loading view using those rules, but loading view added to main view without any constraints, because it uses adding raw to user coordinates. We could, instead of using of this, we could also try to use constraints instead of adding to using coordinates, but we use coordinates in our case, in this case. So we added loading view as a subview to main view. It will cover the whole page, and we need now to bind visibility of loading view. So when some content is loaded, then we enable this view. If some content doesn't load, then we disable. So we need to create a binding set. Oh, not you. Create binding set using this first parameter base view controller. View model. A second parameter is view model. Right. I guess we'll just use it like this. Yeah. And actually it will use TV model and view model. I mean, it will use view controller, TV model, and TV model as second parameter. Basically what I just written, but it's used implicitly. So we created set. We now need to bind our loading view using visibility property. I mean, for we will bind visibility property to view model is loading property, right? Or not right? TV model. So we bind view property to view model property, but since we're using plugin visibility, it has some special visibility property that we can bind for. Actually, iOS has some own property called hidden. We could bind to this, but we will use visibility property because it's inverted, and we actually need to bind to visible, not hidden. And we could also write just hidden, because binding depends on actual naming. And let's back to visibility. It's a property that a plugin visibility brings, and we can just use it instead of using hidden and then using visibility, reversed visibility. With the conversion, visibility. So plugin visibility not just brings a visibility property, it also brings visibility converter. Special converter that can actually convert Boolean to reversed hidden for this view. Hidden is a property of every view. So this view has hidden, this view has hidden, and just like everything. Every view on iOS has this property, and when I accessing this property here, it's defined here. So when we bind for, we use view. As you can see, it's view, and when we bind to, we use view model. Yes, and that's defined. View is view controller, MVX, special view control defined in MvvmCross, and view model is our view model. That is has to be IMVX view model and iBase view model, as where rule asks. So let's change back to visibility. And why is loading is not recognized in base fragment? It was recognized. Was it? Oh, because we didn't bind IC model. Interesting. VM is TV model, but title iBase model. Why it's recognized here? Why is it's not recognized here? Title? Oh. Oh, I think I know why. Because, yeah, basic model only defines title, and we also have to add is loading get set property, and base view model that implements iBase view model interface, that interface has to create title and is loading property, and as you can see, they already created. And since we told that TV model parameter has to be both interfaces, MvvmCross model and iOS model, then accessing any property that defined in either of those interfaces is possible. So in our case, isLoading is now accessible because it's defined in iBase view model. So yeah, and we have to apply this binding. Let's add some beauty. And now we bound loading view and its visibility property. Now we need to bind the title and title is defined in this view and in this view as an implementation of this. So we'll have to use literally this. And now we will access all properties that are defined in this view. And in our case it's gonna be title. So we'll access title, title property, and the same property in view model. So we'll bind title from view model to title in view. Alright. Alright. So we bound both is loading and title. And we probably don't need to use this. And also we have to handle constructor. Yeah, let all constructor be protected. Handle int pointer. Name and bundle. Oh, NS bundle. Bundle. Name bundle. This constructor will be used when we'll create a view based on UI that we'll create in the interface builder, and we'll load that UI using so-called nib-name. Not sure why I created this, because wasn't it just available? Yeah, they're just available. Edit is just protected, but they were public. Not sure if I need to follow this project's rules, but technically it's correct, I guess, because we'll need to inherit from this class since it's abstract. So, okay, I created basic controller, but it will be a skeleton for every page. But now we need to create a root view controller that will place all our pages, our view controllers inside too. How did on Android? On Android I did base activity. Main activity. Splash activity. Where I used I also have start view model. No? Oh, I use my I have main view model. In main view model I just navigate to serial list. So I here also have to create main new item. It's gonna be view controller. It's gonna be main view controller. Again, this weird template. It's gonna be MvvmCross view controller. But it's not just MvvmX view, no, X view controller. Split top page split. What is MvvmX page view control? I need stack navigation and maybe split view in the future, but I'm not using tabs. Oh, one of those. I don't use top R, and currently I'm not using split view, so MvvmX control, right. It will be the controller of main view model. It will have attribute Wix root presentation attribute. You can remove attribute board. I think that's enough. Let's look at samples. Projects. iOS. Views. Oof. stack, no stack. Page 1 view. From storyboard main. Oh, root view. Root presentation. Wrap and navigation controller. Stack navigation. Oh yeah, I want to. If you want to initiate stack navigation, then set this property to true. I need stack navigation. Wrap true. Root view model. Need to find the root view model. MvvmCross oh, it doesn't matter. Show child command. Navigation is done through show commands, and we just bind, we don't execute. Then probably I need to, instead of using my MV model, I have to use server listy model. I don't know. Okay, let's try server list. New model. Let's then use base view controller, as it also base view controller, as it also just MvX view controller, but with some bindings. And what do I do next? Yeah, how app delegate, MvX application delegate, yeah. Setup, yeah, I have to create setup in JKChat OS, new item, class, setup. It's gonna be empty for now. like this. Wix Android setup, Wix iOS setup. And yeah, and use an app from JKChat core, and that app registers Upstart is main view model. Then I have to use main view model. But how will I navigate to? Okay, let's then just use view model. Show serial list command. Execute. After view did load. Not sure. So app delegate is kind of entry point in iOS. Actually it's main, but main just nothing. It just calls app delegate class and calls this methods, and it's gonna be entry point. PowerShell class. Why it's PowerShell class? X application delegate. It will use setup and up as template parameters. I don't need those, I guess. I'll just comment them out. I could try to start it. Well, it won't work because show serial list command will try to navigate to serial list model, but we didn't create a view for serial list model. Let's create view for serial list model and let it be just empty view controller. Serial list view. Get new item. The controller with the storyboard. Serial list view controller. Let it be base view controller. Using serial list view model as template parameter. and it should just work. Not sure, but I hope it works. Right, let's change project to iOS, and it should find any simulator. Can you please find? Alright, let's go with new iPhone 12 mini. I don't get it. Crashed? Or it didn't show anything yet? Does it even respond? I think it's frozen. Okay, let's use base. Oh. No, your window isn't used. So I guess I just have to call base finished launching. Right. It's white now, and it's gonna crash now because unable to activate construct. Avoiding you created, indicator created. Objective-C exception. Oh, okay, unable to activate. Copy. Oh, it's can you just Control C? Nice, it's crashed. Main view controller. Let it be not base, just MvvmCross view control. Right? Send user before can anchor it. Oh, that means. Okay, I see. It worked in this project that I first referenced to because they created constraints as to variables, but I create constraints as I don't create constraints. I use accessing to anchors. Okay, let's add a view. So first I add a view, then I use some rules and activate them. Sounds right. Okay. It crashed again. Oh, load data. Yeah, it crashed on loading. It crashed serial browser 32. Server browser 32. 32. Why did you crash? Let's get back. What is the exception? System not supported. Oh, encoding 1252. Okay. I have never seen such an option, but okay. The issue is it tries to use this encoding, and this encoding is initialized with the 1252. It's some Western European encoding. When why it crashed? Because when it tried to access milliseconds property for the first time in common class, and common class is static class, then the first access in milliseconds calls static constructor, and static constructor tries to use this encoding. So it actually threw exception when we tried to initialize common for the first time. So what I have to use is some internalization. Build code sets west ray other. Okay, let's go with west at least. I'm not sure if we need recompilation, but let's just compile. Oh, Default constructor not found for serialized view controller. Do you mean it has to have public serial list view controller like this? Space like this? And view will appear view will appear. It's protected. Okay. Oh, it has a boolean parameter. And we'll execute it only on the first appearance. As it's shown in the sample. Not here. First time presented, yeah. I think serialistic controller, it has to load storyboard. I have never worked with storyboard. I worked with the so-called zip files. They're basically the same, but not actually the same. So it complained about lack of default constructor. We have default constructor, and default constructor calls inner constructor passing UI storyboard, this using with the same name. That's supposed to work, I think. Base load view. Could not load NIP. Because I guess I should use zip files instead of storyboards. Can I actually create a zip? Add new item. Oh yeah, zip. Okay, let's go with this, I guess. And let's delete this storyboard. And to make sure we did everything right, we will set red background. If it loads that view with the red. Oh, it finally loaded preview. I wanted to set red background. Again, internal inconsistency. Nip, but the view outlet was not. Oh. Can I just maybe Google this? Oh, I know. Do you know? You don't. But I do. Open with the XML editor. Yeah, close it. And custom class, I think it's no, files owner custom class. Oh no, this. That's because I manually created this file. If I created this from template, as it was created with the storyboard, then it would contain such a class. But I created serialist view control separately, just this zip file, so I have to manually add this. On Visual Studio for Mac, there is template for creating a view controller with zip, and for some reason in Visual Studio for Windows such a template doesn't exist. What again? View view id1, and if I have id1, then I have to have id1 as well. I guess let's close it since I'm editing it here. Let's save it and let's see if it works. Yes, it works. And it actually loaded items. Please don't crash. Okay. It shouldn't have back. What has back? Is it clickable? It's not because we don't have anything in back. Not sure. Yeah, it actually loaded something. Okay, let's make it fast. Open the zip file. Well, I think I won't make it fast because drag and drop doesn't work. Can I add table view to display list of servers, at least basic one? Table view? No, I cannot add it, and it cannot reset to. No. I think I need to restart computer to make drag and drop work. I can try to manually edit subviews and subviews. Subviews without any constraint. Without any color. Rectangle. Let's add it and let's see if it appears. It must appear. Yeah, nice. View table view. Let's add some constraints to add the table view to the whole screen. Again. Oh no. Now I set the constraint. So that means table view top properties, table view top I don't know, top edge will be aligned to super view, so parent view, like table view has a parent view, so it's super view for table view. So it will have top view of table view will align to top view of super view, having constant as 0, so they have no offset. Same goes for this, it will be 0 as well. And we also have to add a constraint to this. Did it create one? I don't understand. This constraint will be 0. Oh, I think I added multiple leading is left side, trailing is right side. I added multiple leading ones. So top to super view top, trailing to super view trailing. Yeah, first item trailing, second item trailing. And let's just arrange field parent. Yeah, it just visually, because we use automatic layout, and automatic layout means it will follow those rules, those constraints. And so we added table view that takes the whole screen, and now we have to create cells. New folder, cells. Let's add new item, table view cell. I hope it will create zip file and not storyboard. So it will be server list view cell. Yeah, it creates zip file. Good. Oh, we also have to create. Oh, we don't need to. We will inherit from MvvmX table view cell. No. Yes. We will have to. Let's open this file. Let's table view is selected. Let's give it name. Let it be server list table view. Now we gave it a name, and we go to our code for respectful view, for respectful layout. And now, since we added name for server list table view, then it created an outlet. Yeah, server list table view, and so this table view is now accessible in the code. So when we do view did load, then we can do binding. No, we need at first we need write load view, and here we access our server list table view. We register cell that we're gonna use for this table view, and we created that cell, server list with cell. It's gonna be no, what that cell type. I don't remember. I have to use type of what? I don't remember using this. I mean, oh, I have to reference. Oh no, it has to be. Wait. Key, right? It has to be key. Oh, I think it has to be nip. No. Register nip for cell reuse. Yeah, that's it. Not class. We register nip. So we register it. Now we need to bind our server list. So we'll create binding set. This create binding set of view and view model. So of server list view controller and server list view model. Again, I don't need to use this explicitly. Okay. I need to create a special table view source. MvvmCross standard table view source. Initialize with table view and default cell identifier. So it's gonna be server list table view and server list view cell key. And now we need to bind our table view source we bind source item source to view model items. As I told in MvvmCross, naming binding is based on how you named your properties. So basically I could just use items source and items instead. But since I can rename my view models in future, so I better use this like lambda expression. So I bound items where I load our servers to. Now I need to apply this binding and source source what? Oh, table server list table view source. It's gonna be source, and the server list table view reload data. So it's done like this. Once we set the source, the table view source, it's special helper class where we handle all the changes for table items, like what item should be used, like what cell is used. We actually can register multiple different cells for this. What sizes it has, maybe it has some grouped items. You can create headers, you can create footers, you can do many things. You can subscribe to scrolling events. So that's table view source is a helper class to work with the table view. So when we assign a new source for this table, we have to reload data. But basically, well, yeah. And after doing set apply, we actually assigned items to item source. So source already has some items. So after assigning the source to table view, we have to reload it. So back to server list view cell, and let's modify it a bit. Since I told iOS UI is not ready yet, I'll just use basic UI less some basic UI, default UI without any colors, without any fonts, without any sizes. I'll just use everything as is. So let's add some label. Can I add it using double click? No. Yeah, again, it doesn't work if I try to drag and drop. Okay, let's set it. cells. Label. Yeah, let's close it. Let's save it and let's reopen it. Yeah, label is added. Let's create some constraints. Yeah, I added 4 constraints and need to set the I added constraints to align label to this container. Let's say it has like, I don't know, 16 margin from left. Top trailing 16 from right. Okay, let's not have top and bottom. Bottom, and let's add a constraint to align by center, and no offsets. Yeah, now label is centered. And let's just center it vertically and horizontally. It has constraints with the value 16 on left and right, and if we set any other size for this cell, let's layout it first to fill. Wait, no, position, no, show alignment rectangle, frame rectangle, fixed. Can it preview correctly? Okay, if we select other preview, can I? Okay, I cannot. Well, I think it's because that bug with the drag and drop and it doesn't let me select another device to preview this. I wanted to show that if width or height is changed, then it doesn't matter, and that whole view of label will be stretched according to left and right position with those exact margins. So if we change width of this cell, it will be like, let's say, wider. Then the whole label will be also wider, and it will leave this constant that's equal to 16. And if height changes, then label will stay centered because we have a constraint to center. So we created this view. Now we need to add a label, some name. Let's say server name label. Yeah, we gave it a name, and now we can access this label in our server list view cell code. And we will do this in, I guess I'll do this in delay bind. It's also defined in the binding extension. Delay bind binding controls. Let's generate this method and let's access our label here and create binding set. Comparing to Android, I did all the bindings inside layout, like this. So all the bindings done here, like map name is bound to text right inside the layout. I didn't need to access this this layout in code and do binding inside the code. I do this inside layout, but it's Android here. But on iOS I have to create bindings in code. So I make layout in zip file, zip, and I create some outlets for this label. I give it name. It automatically creates this this view accessible in this file, in this class. Then I create some oh, now you want actual server list view cell and the server list item VM, because we have to create a binding from server list item view model to server list view cell. Oh, I'm doing. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Create binding set. Set bind server name label for. We have to bind view property text to view model property server name or something. I don't remember. Server name. Server name is defined in server list item, this view model, and text property is defined in view, in this view. In this case, this view is this whole file, and server name label is a part of this file. So binding context for this whole view is this item. And as I told, this helper class does everything related to table view, and this class actually does passes binding context from items. As you can see, items is a collection of server list item view model, so it passes every item as a binding context to the cell. So every cell has its own binding context. So every cell will be different and will have different server names. So we create binding and we apply. And I think it will work. Let's see. Yeah, it loaded a lot of items. Yeah, it works. It really works, but I cannot scroll because for some reason, I don't know, it doesn't react to touches. I don't know why. I think because drag and dropped is fucked, and I actually need to restart the whole system because some program that crashed before stopped letting me to use drag and drop, and so it stopped working across the whole system, and I really have to just restart it. So okay, yeah, it loaded, but with the raw strings, and we can create a converter from raw string to colorful texts. To do so, I have to use a value converter. Also, if you remember, I created this page with the red background, but since I added a table view that takes the whole screen, so the whole background is hidden and table view has a white background. So the red background is not visible. Okay, let's stop it. Let's create a value converter that converts raw strings to colorful strings. And let's look to the converter that I already used in on Android. Value converters, list converter, and drag and drop in works. What the fuck? Okay. Let's create a file on iOS, folder, add new folder, value converters. Let's create file, new item, class, color text value converter. It inherits from a VX value converter, and it converts attributed string. No, it converts from string to attributed text. So instead of assigning server name to text, we'll assign server name to attributed text, and it has type of attributed string. So we will convert string to an S attributed string, and we have to override convert method. And probably we'll do the same logic here. So here is a parser that parse every color code that it finds, and it stores all the color codes it found in a list, and then it goes to a list. A list contains start index, length of colorful range, and the color. And then we just apply those parameters that we found in every iteration to the string, to the whole string. Let's try to use similar solution. With some new ns attributed string. Does it have something like empty or default? Seems like it doesn't. Okay, let's just initialize an empty string. Create, not initialize. Oh, let's create a similar class, but I think it will be a bit different. Let's create this color codes. Color codes. It has to be UI color, maybe. Maybe not UI color, maybe CG color. So need to Google this because set different colors to this attributed string. Seems like it needs UI color. Attributed string color, foreground color. Okay, let's go with the UI color. It will be UI color from RGB. No. Cancel. And stop freezing, please. Thank you. It's gonna be UI color. Then we need to create new attributed string. Also, while we're parsing out color codes, we also create empty string. Empty, I mean not a clean string, so this means a string without any color code. So all occurrences of color codes will be like removed. And we'll get a clean string, and we will get a list of ranges for every color. So we'll create attributed string, and then we'll have to attributed string set let's set multiple add attribute add mutable attributed string. Okay, mutable, add attribute name ns foreground color attribute, ns string attribute key UIs. Okay, UI foreground column, color index color. Yeah, basically the same. New ns range color index start color index length. That's all. Right? Right. On Android it's a bit different. It doesn't use start and length, it just uses start and end. And to count end we just subtract, we just sum start and length. So it's that's the only difference. So it's supposed to work. So we created this color text value converter and we have to apply this converter to this binding. So we add with the conversion color text. A name has to match, and we can use color text value converter, or we could just use color text. It will be the same because it seeks for everything that ends with the value converter. Seeks for every class that has type of value converter, and it seeks for everything that starts with something. It seeks for everything that ends with value converter, and just it can ignore it. So we bind server name to attributed text using this converter, and it will probably work. Yeah, it will work, but white colors will be invisible because table view has white background. I can set a background for every cell. Let's set some gray. Yeah, I think everything should be visible in gray. Let's save it. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. The binding works. The converter. Black names are names that didn't have a default color for this label, and if server name didn't have any color code in front, then it'll just use default color. Yeah, I would scroll this, but seems like this drag and drop box still prevents me doing scrolling. So here we are, cannot scroll. Yeah. So today I created a basic iOS. I created iOS project that loads server list. It I created from scratch, so it didn't exist until today. I load servers. I apply. I display the servers that I load, and then I apply every server name to every cell in this table, and then I convert every server name to colorful name that's used in game using color codes.